Hey guys, I'm Allie,
And I'm Jessica.
and welcome to
Let's talk PMA. Welcome, everybody. You came to me with this idea of working with your athletes about working with their PMA. And so we came up with this podcast, and we're super excited about it. So let's talk about what this podcast is about. Can you tell us?
basically we came up with this, or I came up with this podcast because I am a basketball coach, and in practices and games, I notice a lot that my players really struggle with their own like mental toughness and how they talk to themselves and how they react to mistakes that happen in games or even in practices. And I was like, there has to be some way that I can help these girls and give them a tool so they can, be better, be stronger, and grow as a player. So I came to my mom, I came to you, and I said, let's do this because, what better way to do it than with a life coach who knows exactly what to say and do what we can to help these girls get better.
So is it just for kids, or are we helping coaches and parents too?
Yeah, so everything that we're gonna go over throughout all of our podcasts is something that is beneficial to players, parents, and coaches all around because everyone needs to be able to understand the
Importance of mental health?
the importance of it and the power it has for any player, parent, and coach.
Yeah. So if you have a down day, say, let's just give an example. If you have a down day and your kids come into you and say, I'm just crappy. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not a good basketball player. How do you handle that?
Usually it's asking the questions. It starts with saying, what makes you think that way? Or what mistake happened that made you drop your head? You really got to ask a lot of questions to really get it out of them because sometimes they don't want to tell you or they're very vague. So, really just asking the questions and finding out exactly what they are thinking. And then from there, you can go and try to like solve it. So, if they were to say, oh, I'm getting yelled at and I don't know why. Okay, well, let's think about this. Think about all these things that could have happened. And there's a lot going on in a game. And a lot of times, coaches don't know any other way to express what they want you to do besides yelling because they think that's what gets you to do it. And sometimes it can be very vague and not explained. So, really, you can't take a lot of what coaches are yelling at you for, you can't take it personally. Um, and even parents, if parents yell at you, you can't take it personally because they just want you to be the best that you can be. They just don't always have the time or are, let me see what I'm trying to say. They don't have the time or they don't know exactly how to explain it to you at that moment.
Sometimes they have their own stuff going on and they don't want to deal with it sometimes too.
Yeah, exactly.
Your way to
Exactly.
deal with it is just yelling at it, right?
Sometimes yelling can seem like the quicker option to get through what you're trying to get across, but in reality, it's really not. It might get it done quicker, but it's not always as beneficial. And it can make a lot of players feel really bad about how they're playing.
So how do you as a coach see that when a kid gets down after you've yelled at them? How do you deal with that? I mean, does it make them go sink deeper in, and sometimes it makes them go harder? So how do you deal with the ones that get down?
Um, I I like to watch. I really do watch how my players react to every single word and things that are happening. And so if I really am getting on them about something, I may not at that moment have the time to really like explain it. So I'll do everything I can to get across exactly what needs to happen. And then during a timeout or a time where I have a little bit more time to do a little bit more explanation, if they're on the bench or something, I will go and I'll sit with them for a second and I will really like break it down so they understand. So then they don't really take it so hard and they're like, oh, okay, now I'm not upset that you yelled at me because I understand why.
Hmm. And do you see a lot of change in their attitudes when that happens?
Oh yeah, definitely. It can go from a, oh my God, I just did everything wrong. Oh, I'm terrible kind of attitude to a, oh, I get it. I understand this is what I can do better and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it better.
Yeah. So is this your mission as far as putting this together? What is your complete mission with this whole thing?
I just think it's really important for all players, whether you're naturally athletic, you're really learning, or you're putting in all the effort, or you're just starting out. I think it's really important for all players, coaches, and parents to understand that it's okay to make those mistakes and that they aren't the end of the world, and what is being said and what's happening can only help you grow and get better. And it's just it's getting everyone to understand that. It's getting everyone to understand that it's okay to make the mistakes and that it's okay to have someone tell you that you can get better and that you can do things better.
Well, it's also learning to understand that your mistakes aren't really mistakes, they're more just learning lessons, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so everything that we do and we seem to be told that we're failing at is really lessons to be learned and
Yeah.
figuring out what that lesson is.
Yeah, when I was younger and I was told, whether it was from you and dad or from any coach, that the constructive criticism, I was being yelled at or I was told things that I could be doing better, I took it as a, I'm a failure, I'm doing things wrong, I'm a terrible player. And I just took it really hard instead of taking it and understanding, okay, these are things that I can grow on, I can learn from, and I can just keep getting better. Like that's what I needed to understand. And that took a long time for me to actually get and apply. But
Mhm.
once I totally blossomed into a new player and just got increasingly better.
So, how long did it take for you to do that?
Well, you already know. It was a
No,
long
everybody else does it though.
oh, it was a really long time. I honestly don't even know. I was probably going into my freshman year of high school.
Or
That's
college.
when I started to what?
Or I said, or college.
No, no, in high school, I definitely started to get it. Going into my freshman year because I had such high goals for myself that I realized what I needed to do and I needed to be able to listen and understand. It wasn't like an easy, like it happened just like that, but definitely going into my freshman year, I started to understand and I started to work on it. Um, and then I just kept growing from there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you first started really playing in eighth grade, seventh grade, and it was tough, but your drive was so strong. And we just kept, working with you and just, you're not going to be great. You may think you're great and you do things wrong and get upset about it, which happened a lot. And it just took time. And a lot of kids come in and think they're great and make a mistake. And then they're so hard on themselves because they are still learning.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah. And I think it's a really important tool for everybody because, I wasn't necessarily born as naturally athletic as a lot of the people that I played basketball with specifically. And a lot of the girls that I played with were kind of handed everything they wanted just because they were a little more athletic, but they didn't always have the same drive or the same mental attitude that I learned to have. And a lot of them had that bad attitude, had that, I don't really care what you have to say to help me get better kind of thing. And so I think it's super important, even for the kids who are just really, really good super early. I think it's even more important for them to understand, like, even though you are so good and you're so good for your age or whatever, it's still really important to be able to take criticism and understand that you can still get better. You can always get better. And I think mental game is just as important, if not more important, than your physical game.
So as a coach and seeing those kids, especially in the, with who you're working with the
Yeah.
AAU groups, and you're seeing a lot of really talented kids. So how do you go about really talking to them in a mental games capacity for them to get better and not just stay stagnant in how good they think they are?
Yeah. Um, I have a lot of the girls that I work with are just stupid good for their age. And most of them are actually really good about their mental attitude and like listening to what the coaches have to say and like adjusting. Um, but they also are handed whatever they want, so they don't really go through a lot of challenges. They make mistakes and we get mad, but like that's really all it is. They're not going to get benched for it. But some of my other girls who are still just as talented, but they don't get as much playing time, they struggle a lot more with like any kind of mistake. And so when I go and I'm just like, I can tell you're not in it. Where are you today? What's going on? And I think personally, I have a very approachable personality. So a lot of my girls will talk to me very easily. So I really just take a second and I just say, you made a mistake, but like if you keep or if you stop, you're not going to get better, just like Michael Jordan says, you missed 100% of the shots you don't take.
Mhm.
So if you don't keep taking those shots, how are you ever going to know if you're going to make it again? Just because you missed one shot doesn't mean that you're going to miss the next one. Make adjustments and keep getting better, right? You can't stop after one mistake. And most time I also will say, hey, look, she just turned the ball over. Look at other people are making mistakes just like you. Or if they have a bad attitude, I also show them how it affects your other teammates. The other day at a practice, I had one girl, she was just having an off day, which is totally fine to have an off day. But then I started to notice that girls on her team for scrimmage started to have a bad attitude too because they saw that she was mad. And so I was like, look over there. Look at how she's all mad now because she sees that you have that kind of attitude. It's contagious. It's really contagious. And so you have to be able to put yourself in check and be a team leader and shake it off. You know, Everyone makes mistakes and it's okay. You can't get better if you don't make mistakes because that means you're not trying hard enough.
Right. Yeah. What we put out there is what we get back, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
it's very important to teach the kids and parents too. The parents are putting out a, negative or frustrating vibe to their kids, are going to pick that up as well. So
Yeah.
we definitely have to put that in check as well. And the coaches too. We all have bad days. We're not going to just not have a bad day to put a bad day, but we have
Oh,
to leave it at the door so that we can move on to what we want.
parents saying if you're having a bad day and you had to go to a game and you're mad about it or you're mad about how your kid played and it affects how you are having a bad day, like you can't push that on to your kids. That's not fair to them because they're doing the best that they can do.
Mhm.
And so you go and you really like push on them and yell at them even if there was good things that they did do, like they only hear the bad. They only hear all these bad things and they just need a recognition like, hey, you can do these things better. And these are things that I noticed from a different standpoint, from the stands. But then it's like, okay, me as a player, I can talk to you. Okay, this is what I saw during that specific play.
Mhm.
This is what I saw and this is what you saw. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying now. This is how I could have changed. But also, hey, I made 3 3-pointers in that game and you didn't say a single thing about that. Like that hurts. It's like I need to hear any player needs to hear the goods. Like, hey, you did so good doing this, and this. But also like we can still keep getting better.
Right. I think that's what we always tried to teach you kids when you guys were, playing in school ball, is that, you gotta be praised for what you did well,
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you didn't, because of course that stands out, but we always wanted to make sure that you knew that you also played well, but why, there was things that you could have done better, and what was that?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so we always made sure that we talk that out, um, after almost every game, both of you. And so it was really important. And it was important for you to see, you know, yeah, we're seeing the good, but also, how can we help you? Being coaches ourselves or just being supportive parents, doesn't matter. How we can help you overcome whatever was you were battling with on the court.
Yeah, having the positive and constructive conversations versus just saying you did all these bad things or yelling. Yelling is not a good way to get a response. I understand during a game, parents, coaches, everyone, yelling because it's the adrenaline of the game. But once it comes to after the game, yelling isn't going to have any benefit anymore. When we come in together as coaches with the players after a game to talk about, how it went and what everyone thinks and, just chat about it, there's no yelling. There's no yelling at all. It's really, these are the things we did good. These are the things we did bad. Let's do better next time and, move on.
Yeah.
Right. Take it off. Don't worry about any mistakes that you made because we can only get better from here.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Same with
So,
parents.
so what?
Same with parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so really, to go over what this podcast is all about. What are our goals? Um, what's your entire goal for this podcast series of what we're doing?
Yeah, I think honestly, just teaching everybody how to practice PMA, which is positive mental attitude, learning to listen, accept, and the constructive criticism, understand our mistakes, being able to ask questions, just all these things that all add up to our PMA. Just overall being open. You have to be open to asking questions. You have to be open to listen. And that's a lot of things that parents, coaches, and players don't all have at the same time. Sometimes a parent might have it, sometimes a coach might have it, and sometimes a player doesn't, or anywhere in between. But everyone has to be able to have that positive mental attitude and really embrace it. And so that's really the goal, is getting everyone to understand the importance of it and being able to embrace it for sure.
Absolutely. And just creating trust. You have to create trust within your coaches, within your, the athletes, within their coaches, within their parents. And if you don't have that trust, you don't have a great player.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So I'm excited. This is our first episode, and hopefully we will make a difference for coaches and parents and kids to create great players and for everyone to love the game that they play, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
You're a basketball player. Quinn's a golfer. They've played basketball, volleyball, golf, baseball. I had it all, soccer.
Yeah.
So it all matters, and it's all the same concept. It's all the same mental toughness and learning how to deal with all the stuff that comes up within those sports, and learning all those skills is our life skills as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And for anybody who is watching, please feel free to comment with any questions, experiences, or topics that you may have and you want to learn more about. We want to make this a really big community, and we want you guys to be here and grow with us.
So thank you for listening and watching, and we will see you next week.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
you.